Jeri, hi there. Um, I wanted to finally do your reading today. Sorry it's taken me so long. Thank you for your patience. I'm gonna have a little beer while I do this. The energies are really intense right now with the full moon in Scorpio coming up, but I am planning on using my favorite deck here. I thought it would be best if I used my spooky zombie deck for your reading. I'm gonna try and get some insight. No, let me turn my stupid phone thingy down. I'm gonna try and get some insight into your current endeavors with your career, which I think is like such a cool field. Feels like the perfect thing for you to be doing. But I kind of sense this energy of like wanting to promote yourself and wanting to put yourself out there, but also trying really hard, kind of not to be insensitive, I guess, during this kind of weird time. I feel like personally, it feels like people are so like scared of death and weird about death that it doesn't feel like they're even into trying to plan for that, which I think it's a really important thing to try and plan for, and something that's inevitable for all of us. So I definitely feel like this is something that should be a lot more talked about and a lot more accepted. So yeah, I'm interested to see kind of what sort of messages I get for you. Sort of just trying to channel some of your energy around that into the cards right now. Please excuse, my place is a little messy. Whatever, I don't need to go all like Midwest woman on you right now. Oh, excuse the mess. These cards are hard to shuffle because I barely ever use them. They're really cool though. It just seemed like the deck that I felt like I should use for you. If you hear any strange noises in the background, it's probably just my dogs being weirdos. So you understand that, I'm sure. Let's see here. Let's see if we can get anything going. I usually just like to kind of shuffle the cards until something jumps out at me, and then I'll start. Ooh, oh gosh, okay. Got a little stack here, so we'll start flipping those. Okay, so the first card I got is Judgment. And Judgment kind of sounds like a scary bad card, but really what I see here is just sort of you using your judgment to kind of best understand how you can help people during this time. And I feel like with everything that's going on, it feels like kind of the perfect time to be like, hey, listen, this is what I do, and this is my passion, and this is what my work is, and kind of explaining to people in this sense that, like, it's very important, and, just because you're scared of it, or just because it doesn't feel right or normal for us to talk about death in this open way, that doesn't mean that this job isn't important, and that doesn't mean that it's not something you should consider and think about, while you're still here, especially, seeing all the people that were perfectly healthy that caught this virus, that have lost their lives, and it's something that's spreading, and it's something we don't know how long it's going to last. So this Judgment card to me is sort of just about you making the decision to be confident in what you're doing and to really trust that you're doing the right thing. And I don't know really where you're at right now in terms of your business or in terms of the work you're doing, but this is a good card to me that symbolizes you've made the right choice. You're on the right path. It's definitely something that you're meant to do. You felt guided and compelled to do. And so definitely stay determined and stay confident in that. Because this card tells me that, it's something you thought about, and it's something you decided, and it's something that you felt pulled towards, and it's the right decision. This card, the artwork is a little scary on it, but don't worry about that. Judgment to me is just, you made a judgment call, and you might be still kind of up in the air considering, did I do the right thing or am I doing the right thing? And I can say for sure that you are, because the next card I got is the Empress. And the Empress is someone who is, you know, kind of like I said, very determined and is very in a good headspace for what they're doing. They're sort of the epitome of kind of emotional maturity and the epitome of kind of just being at one with your craft and understanding your place in the world. And I feel like that reigns really true with just the person you are and how much I've seen you develop just in the last few years. And the next card I got was the Five of Wands, that tells me there have been a lot of hills to kind of climb up and a lot of slippery slopes that you've had to navigate on and up and through. This card tells me that with everything that you are up to right now, it's been hard earned. You know, it hasn't been an easy journey for you. It tells me that all the struggles and all the things that you have overcome and that you will continue to overcome are going to make it all the more worthwhile. And so when I was just shuffling there, I had this whole stack of cards fall out, and those were just the first three I got. So I'm going to kind of get some clarifiers on those. I hope that those messages sort of made sense to you and, you know, meant something. Okay. The next cards I'm getting are hazards, which in this deck, it's a little bit different. Instead of like swords and wands, and there are wands in this deck, but instead of like cups and swords and things like that, we have hazards, which when it comes to hazards, that's sort of just like a cautionary, it's a sign to sort of take caution and sort of heed warning and to sort of be extra careful. So I have the Five of Hazards, which tells me that you could be running into a lot of roadblocks and that you could be running into a lot of problems when it comes to not only your personal life. I mean, who isn't running into a lot of fucking problems right now? But since this reading is more based around your work, this tells me that you run into a lot of problems, maybe even just recently with the career that you are in and the path that you are on in that sense. It doesn't mean that you won't get through these things, because we just saw the Five of Wands, which tells me you've overcome a lot and that you're continuing to overcome a lot. And so this card doesn't really scare me, and I don't want it to scare you either. I think it's just a sign, you know, that your work isn't going unnoticed and that all of these roadblocks that you are coming up against and pushing up against a stone on, they have a meaning, and that meaning will be revealed in time if it hasn't already begun revealing itself. The next card I got is the Devil. And so, you know, I kind of think in the typical sense, I don't think the devil is a bad thing. I think it's just sort of this evil is lurking in the shadows kind of deal. And I think that it makes perfect sense, you know, with what you are and what you do. Not because I think it's bad by any means, because I don't think that at all. I really admire the work that you do and that you're pushing to grow in that sense, which I think is awesome. But this just tells me that kind of the typical world around us and our sort of like regular societal standards and views don't necessarily see this as something that is normal per se. I think people that are more along the lines of people that, like you and me and the other people that are sort of that we like to surround ourselves with, they get it 100%, you know, and they think that it's valid and it's awesome. But this card just kind of tells me that there's a little bit of a darkness around it when it comes to just like, you know, our normal day-to-day lives. People don't really see, you know, being a death doula as something that is like normal, and they don't sort of get it. That's what I'm getting here. I'm sort of seeing, especially with the Two of Hazards after this, kind of like a mad scientist deal. It's sort of telling me that people, it's hard to make that connection with some people. You know, and just like this work I do, the astrology stuff, some people are just like, whoa, keep that witchcraft weirdness away from me. I think that a lot of people are sort of seeing it in that sense too with what you're doing, where they're just like, I don't really get it. It seems really dark and scary. But really, honestly, we know that it's not a dark and scary thing. It's just being responsible and planning for this part of your life that you know is going to happen and that so many people want to run from and be afraid of instead of being more responsible about it. So these 3 cards that I just got kind of tell me that you're coming up against some blocks in a sense of, not everyone really understanding what it is that you're doing. And so I guess my advice there, I'll draw a couple more cards, but I think just what I'm feeling here is, I think like finding a way to build that bridge between, you and what you're doing and between like the normies, society, kind of building that bridge and gapping that space with a bit of understanding of like, here's some more insight as to what this really is about. And it's really not scary to be prepared and to be ready, for what is inevitably coming for all of us. Not saying it's going to happen next week or 2 weeks from now, but really none of us know. You know what I mean, is the thing. The next card I got was the 7 of Hazards. So I'm kind of just seeing some logistics, some sort of numbers. This to me represents kind of like, like I said, the logistics of things, more of the science-y kind of side of it. I think connecting with people is a really big part of what you're doing, I can only imagine. And this sort of tells me that there's a little bit of work that needs to be done in the way of kind of like setting in stone what the numbers are, I guess. We live in a world of money, as much as we, don't like that. So I think what I'm sensing is, or what I'm seeing here from the cards is just that some things need to be cleared up in a sense of like maybe your pricing or like how people pay for this or how much they are paying and for what they're paying for. And that extent of kind of that realm of things, which I'm horrible with numbers. I'm not great with money. I don't really like that everything's based around that. But I think when I see this card, I just sort of see something that tells me there's something going amok or awry right now with the numbers and with the logistics and with the pricing and the payments and all of those things. So when I see this, I just sort of see like maybe that's an area of focus. Maybe that's something that needs to be kind of dialed in on and sort of, reeled in a little bit with like, what are those exact numbers and what are these exact measurements and things like that. So then I got the 2 of Swords, which Swords kind of goes to show the sort of battles that you're up against a little bit more. Which this sort of tells me that it's sort of unknown. Like there's a lot of really unknown factors. I think right now for everyone, we're going into a Scorpio full moon, so it's a really powerful time to set intentions. And I think if you're not already doing stuff like that, now would be a really great time to sort of just start making a list of your intentions and things you really want to move towards. This is a time of like a lot of endings and a lot of new beginnings sort of coinciding. And so I think right now especially would be a great time to map out some intentions. Just sort of get really clear with yourself and the universe about the direction you want to move in. So yeah, I'm gonna actually shuffle a couple more times and get a couple more cards here. I don't know how helpful that was. It's always really hard for me to judge, since I actually don't have much of a clue what you're going through specifically with this. I'm just sort of reading into the messages I see and kind of hoping for the best. I am, someone that loves to read tarot, and I've recently taken it up as a job, but it's not something I would say I'm an expert at by any means, but definitely getting better, and not being down on myself about, still learning. And I think that's a big thing I'm getting from your energy right now is like, you don't have to be completely sure about every aspect of this job that you're doing or that you're moving towards or that you're working in. I think just being passionate about it and realizing how important it is such a big part of it. And there's never a limit to how much you can learn and to how much you can get involved and develop. And I think we have to all start somewhere. So I feel like I'm getting this big kind of feeling of don't give up. Obviously, don't be hard on yourself or down on yourself about having to start in a small place and move upwards, because it's going to take time and it's going to take a lot of effort and a lot of work, and a lot of that work is going to be beyond, like, on behalf of the universe. I don't know why I couldn't get that out. But a lot of it is also just you setting intentions and putting in time and growing more and understanding more what it is you're really wanting to do and how you can execute that. Maybe that's not a good word in this reading, but how you can bring that to life, really. I can't stop making horrible puns now about dying, but sorry about that. Yeah, I would definitely trust you with my life. Like, if I knew for sure my time was coming to an end, I would want you to be the person to help me plan with that. I don't even know really what goes into planning a death. I feel like I was sort of just going to wing it, but my friend Andrea talks a lot about the importance of death doulas and sort of that whole sense, and so it was such a cool connection to me when I realized that that's what you were doing, and I realized that I'd been hearing about this more and more, and I was thinking I wanted to do something like this, but with animals, being sort of a person that is kind of an undertaker for animals, but that's a whole nother story, blah, 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 but it feels so much to me like it's really brave that you're doing this, because we don't hear much about this. This isn't a job that's like cut and dry or clear. Like being a barista, I know I'm just going to go make people coffee. It's fine. I get it. It's really easy. But this, I don't even know where to begin or where you began with this. So if you want to tell me more about that, I'd really love to know. For now, let's see though. I got the Three of Hazards. But this Three of Hazards sort of gives me this message that, good things are on the way, in a sense of this sort of throwing a bone and going to fetch it sort of thing. So it's like, it feels like all this effort you're putting in and all the work you've been doing is going to come to fruition, and if it hasn't already started to sort of bear fruit and see really good results, then I feel like that's going to be coming very soon. I have the Page of Cups here, which is all about emotions. To me, this sort of just feels like you have your emotions under control in a sense. Like you are definitely well enough to do what you're doing. And I feel like, maybe there have been struggles in your life with mental health. I think we've all had that. And maybe you specifically, that's been a big part of your journey. But this tells me that you're in a really good place right now, emotionally. And that you're pretty even keel right now. There are still ups and downs that you have, but this just tells me that you're in a really good place, and that if you haven't started receiving signs from the universe that you're on the right path, which I can only imagine you have, then those things are going to start happening very, very soon. And like I said, just don't give up. Just keep at it, because this is important. This is important work that you are doing, and I imagine it takes a lot to break into any field or into any realm. So just understand that just because, the vast majority of people around us don't necessarily understand or see this really strong need for what it is you're doing, that's going to change. I think especially with just what we're going through right now with the sort of mass hysteria and the whole pandemic, and I think it's even more important work right now than it was before, and it was already very important. So I just want you to keep that in mind. Just kind of a little reminder there. So the last card I got for you is Temperance. And Temperance to me is just sort of like, to start the card with judgment, or to start the reading with Judgment and to end it with Temperance, that just really feels like you know, the decisions you've been making and the path that you are on is definitely being validated. I think the universe isn't sending me any red flags that are saying, like, no way, I don't think this can work out, I don't think this is the right thing. And trust me, I think I've done a lot of things that definitely weren't the right thing, and I'm sure you have too. And I think the universe was generally pretty clear that maybe we shouldn't be doing that. But what I see for this reading and what I see for you in this energy right now is that you're definitely doing the right thing, and that this is definitely your life's work. I feel like this is something that is not only really important to the people around you and to the people that you're going to be offering these services to, but also it's really important for you and your heart and for your development as a person. So it really feels full circle to me. And the artwork is a little weird on here, but temperance is really just sort of this even keel kind of sort of having your ducks in a row. It tells me that you sort of have this all-knowing kind of energy about you anyways. And so I feel like deep down, you definitely know that you're doing the right thing. And I want you to keep that up. And it just looks like there's going to be a lot of roadblocks, which I'm sure you're already well aware of and well accustomed to. But I think the whole energy and the reminder and the whole vibe of this reading was very much just affirmative of, like, you know, keep pressing on, keep pushing forward. It's going to be slow movements at certain points, and it's going to be baby steps, and sometimes it's going to feel like no progress was made at all. But the truth is, it's good. I see some success in this, and I don't mean you're going to become rich, because I didn't see that. And, I mean, who wants to be rich, really? I mean, I guess we all want to be comfortable and to be safe. I didn't get a lot involving money in this reading, and that just really tells me, even more so, that you're not doing this for the wrong reasons. I don't think that you are a money-hungry person by any means. Some people really are, and, you know, sometimes in readings there's a huge money theme, but I didn't get any coins. I didn't get any sort of money, you know, stuff in here at all. Which to me sort of is just like, I don't know, it's a really good indicator that your heart is in it for the right reasons, and it's not all about money. Obviously, we need money to survive, and I do think that this will become more lucrative as you grow and as you build it, but the truth is, I don't feel like it's about money at all for you, which I think is really beautiful. And, yeah, that's really all I got for you today, so if you have any questions, or if you would like me to draw some more cards to try and clarify, or if you just want to talk. Yeah, I hope that was somewhat useful for you. And I also hope that you're having a great day and that this finds you well. Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you so much for supporting me in this little endeavor. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.